Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Genesis Herurioma, a former pastor and apostle in Christianity, but no more. So, I'm going to be teaching you something today, and we're going to be talking about the God of the Bible. What is the God of the Bible? A whole lot of people don't know, and I don't blame a lot of people because the educational system, we operate in Africa, does not support critical inquiry. We are taught what to think and not how to think. All right. We are taught not to question things, but to just believe whatever is thrown at us. A lot of the knowledge that we operate with, especially in Africa, is expired knowledge, primitive knowledge that people who did not know better in the primitive years of man, things that they believed, things that they assumed because they did not have the instruments to test, the instruments for inquiry. But today, in our world today, we have so many instruments of critical inquiry. We are loaded with knowledge and information, but a whole lot of people do not pay attention to knowledge and information because they have not learned how to inquire. You see that? A lot of people are ruled by fear because it has been beaten into us not to question things. But it's important to question things if we must make the progress that we want to make in Africa. So let's look at the God of the Bible. What is the God of the Bible? Now, the God of the Bible is called Yahweh. All right. The God of the Bible is called Yahweh, that was metamorphosed into Jesus Christ, a cross-cultural Messiah. So this is just the part one. We're going to talk about how that metamorphosis took place. But first of all, let's look at the Yahweh. Now, the God of the Bible that is called Yahweh is originally a deity that was worshipped by nomadic tribes in the place called the Levant, which we call the Middle East area. All right. And it is linked to the Midianites. Now, the Israelites adopted Yahweh as one of their gods because there were several gods that the Israelites worshipped. They adopted Yahweh as one of their gods, all right, into the existing pantheon, gods that were in the Canaanite area. It took a process of evolution for that transformation to take place. Now, Yahweh later transformed from a lesser storm or warrior deity into a sole, all-powerful, creator. All right. It's a transformation that took place over the years. It didn't just happen overnight. And let me tell you something. This Yahweh, if you read the Bible with critical thinking, you will understand what I'm talking about. In Exodus 19:18, it describes Yahweh, as if it's from, a furnace, a burning furnace. You can see the imagery of burning bush that has to do with fire, 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 fire. Yahweh was a volcanic god because there were so many volcanic fields in the area, all right? And that place, northwestern Arabia. So, which means Yahweh originated from that area that had a lot of volcanoes. You see in the Bible talking about the encounters of Moses and all that, Moses and the burning bush. So, you look at that critically, you begin to understand these things that I'm saying. Yahweh originated as a volcanic god, a god of fire, a god of war, warrior god, god of the storm. So you can see all of these themes in the description of Yahweh, talking about he touches the mountains and the smoke in some of the Psalms, touches the mountains and the smoke. And then you talk about when he's angry, he breathes fire and all that, brimstone. You can see all of these themes, in the Bible. So Yahweh was not a god like God of the universe, because there's actually no God of the universe. Every tribe had their own God. As tribes began to grow and expand, looking for resources, looking for land, looking for resources, they started colonizing other tribes, from smaller tribes to bigger tribes, and forcing them to worship their gods. Because from these gods, they developed cultures. All right, they developed a lot of cultures, a lot of rules and regulations, which they guide themselves and protect their society. So if they invade a society or they want to assimilate a society, they must make sure they force the people to worship that God and to accept their culture, right? So that has been the norm. That was how all of this evolved to what we see today. So a lot of people don't know what they worship, all right? In Africa, our forefathers had their own gods. And let me quickly drop this. For instance, in Igbo cosmology, Chukwu Okike is not Yahweh. Chukwu Okike, the Igbo people believe that Chukwu Okike is their supreme creator. And everybody has his own, guide or God that guides him. And all of them are answerable to Chukwu Okike. So Chukwu Okike is not Yahweh. Shango is not Yahweh. You see that? Eledumare is not Yahweh. You see that? It was after they brought the gospel, of Jesus and Yahweh to Africa, that they make sure that they try to destroy the indigenous gods that people worship and then replace it with the worship of Yahweh and Jesus. And then they took the names of some of these deities and ascribed it to Yahweh, just like telling the people, what you're worshiping the wrong God. All right? What you are calling Eledumare or what you are calling Chukwu is actually Yahweh and Jesus Christ. Just like in the Bible, we are told that Paul went to a certain place and he told the people that the God they are worshiping is the Yahweh of the Israelites, because they believed they were worshiping an unknown God. They didn't know the God they were worshiping, they just worshipped. And then he told them, what you are worshiping is Yahweh. That was not the case with Africa. Africa knew their own gods, they believed in their own gods. And then the white man came and said, no, this is what you must worship. This is what you are calling Chukwu Okike, not maybe the wood you carved. This is what you are calling Chukwu Okike, which is Yahweh. But Yahweh is not actually different from Shango or any other, deities. They're all imaginations of men. People created these gods out of curiosity. They wanted to know, but they had not the tools of inquiry. When they saw fire and brimstone, when they saw, volcanoes, they were wondering, where did this come from? And the noise that accompanies volcanoes. If you have ever stayed close to a volcano or listened to a volcano, I was watching the video of an explorer. She was able to stumble upon a volcano that was erupting. If you hear the noise, it's terrifying. And you can see that theme in the Bible. Moses and the Israelites, they were before the foot of the mountain. And they said God was speaking. But no, God was speaking. It was a volcano that was erupting, and they attributed it to a god. You see that? So when volcanoes erupt, they say God is angry. So that's about Yahweh. That's how Yahweh emerged from people's experiences with volcanoes and earthquakes and natural occurrences that they did not understand. They ascribed it to a god and created rules, laws, and regulations around how to live within that vicinity to please that so-called God. You see that? From there, generations after generations, they modified the rules, modified the laws, and all that. You see that? And regulated society with it. So this is information a lot of people do not know. So to get this full information, you can find it in my book, Common Sense Understanding of the Bible. You get the full gist of the development of Yahweh, over the years and how Yahweh evolved to become Jesus Christ. I'm going to do a part 2 of the video of how Yahweh, evolved to become Jesus Christ. All right. So subscribe to the channel. There's so much more that is coming your way. Like and share this video so that others can gain understanding also, especially my atheist friends, agnostics, and free thinkers. Share this video to educate your audience and make them understand the God of the Bible, that there's no universal God anywhere. All right? The God of the Bible is not different from the idol that your forefathers worshipped in your village. The only difference is that the worship of Yahweh was modified over the years, all right, to make it become like a universal deity, make it acceptable to a whole lot of people, either through forced worship or, through marketing, marketing it through colonialism, and cultural interchange. So there's a whole lot that went down that a lot of people don't know. till we got to this point. Critical thinking will help you to analyze these things and gain understanding. All right, so go get my book, Common Sense Understanding of the Bible. The link is in the description. It's on Seller. It's also on Amazon. You can get it. If you need the paperback, you can get it on Amazon. But you can just get the ebook. In Naira, it's just 3,000 Naira. You can just get it, download it, and read for yourself. A lot of people are getting it now. Go get that book. It's going to help you a lot to gain in understanding. Thank you for watching. Share the video and subscribe to this channel as more knowledge is coming your way. Thank you for watching.